It was so dumb. After I did the second one, I was like, I kind of felt a little like, I don't know if I should have posted that one. Like this is too much.
I get diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer, growing at a 95% rate.
What is like maybe an insecurity when you first started doing content?
I'd say the big thing is...
Hey, Bosa, welcome to the Influencers Podcast. So excited to have you on today. One of my favorite things about you is that when I see you on social media, I feel like I get the same Bosa in person versus online. And so I feel like that's hard to say about people nowadays. There's like, they have a certain persona online, but you are the real deal. You're an incredible designer, an incredible artist, an amazing writer. Wow. And so I just wanted to, I feel honored that you're here, that you're part of this. And I'm excited for people to hear what you have to say and what you have to share. And so one of the questions I wanted to ask you is, how has your mindset shifted? And, you came from working in the church world, been on staff at different churches, and you've been grinding content, all of that stuff. And so how has your mindset changed in the last, couple of months as you've been building your business when it comes to content creation?
Man, my mindset has changed a lot.
Yeah.
I think it's so different. So when you're in the church space or ministry space, you already have your set market. It's the people who are attached to your ministry or your church. Yep. And so you're speaking directly to them. There's a language you already have together. There's mutual connection. Yeah. When you're marketing a business, I'm just going to take what you just said when we weren't recording, but you're fishing. You're trying to figure out who's actually going to take the bait. Because sometimes the people you think are your clients are not actually your clients.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's what I'm learning is I did not think you were the one, but okay, we actually have something for you. And so I'm learning a lot of times they say with social media, it's social. We're supposed to communicate together.
That's awesome.
And as you're having conversation, those people will actually kind of help you also inform you on what they want to see, what they don't want to see, how you can change, how you can develop, what they're actually interested in. So I'm learning that there's more of a conversation sometimes, and I don't think this is for all churches, but my friend Jeannie and I, we were a part of Skill House together. We went and we were speaking at a church, and they're like, what would you want to see churches do differently? And I was like, I would love to see churches actually tell more stories. And I think that I got there because I realized, we already know who we're speaking to. So a lot of times we just speak in our language. But the beautiful thing really about Jesus was he told parables, but he told parables not to the church. He told it to those who were outside of the four walls so that they can lean in to get deeper understanding. Yeah. And sometimes we miss that because we're only talking to our people. Yeah. Versus telling stories. So people are like, wait a minute, what are they talking about? What? And then lean in. I was watching one girl the other day and I was like, whoa, this is amazing. There's some people know how to tell a story and I want to master that. So I'm learning. Yeah. I might as well just put myself out there, even if it's crappy video and bad audio, let me just start because really the art of storytelling, I think has been lost. Yeah. It's something that I want to get better at.
That's good. Yeah, I feel like a lot of things have gotten so refined and it's you lose the story, you lose the why, the emotional attachment that people want, from these videos. So you said something earlier that as you were answering this question that kind of caught me a little bit and it was a feedback portion, So how have you approached feedback whenever you post something? It's kind of hard, right? Because it's you have to be real with yourself, you have to be open to the fact that some people might not like what you're posting, and it's and then the thing with creatives is we put so much passion behind what we do. I've done it musically, just even now with videos and I'm so excited to post this video. Yeah. And then it's 10 likes. What? My previous video had 80, and it's you're just you kind of go through this process in your mind, what did I do wrong? What happened? Did I post at the wrong time? All of these things. And so I think it's really hard for us to take feedback. And so how have you approached that? How do you do it in a healthy way where you're okay, don't be discouraged, but this is how we can grow from this.
That's good. One of the things I've learned is be open-handed. Yeah. Because the thing is, there's so much that really factors in. Like you said, did I post at the right time? like for me, I posted a video the other day and I was like, oh, most of the people I know are probably fasting social media. And like, I can't make them not fast to like see this video. And so I have to be aware of like what's happening. But also I need to be open-handed and say, okay, this might have been a great piece of content. Because it didn't do well here doesn't mean it won't do well. Let me just post it again.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay.
Let me post it again. Let me post it a different way. Right now I'm in a space where honestly I don't think the content I'm putting out right now, I'm just trying to like get back in the habit because I was in social media but off for a long time, but then I just walked through a health journey, so I was really disconnected. And so now I'm just trying to get back reintegrated. And so I'm really open-handed with, I'm just going to show up.
That's cool.
Like I'm just going to show up so people know I'm here.
That's cool.
I'm not going nowhere. Hello. You're going to see me, and you're going to see me every day until like I really like work this muscle out. And so that's where I'm at, is just like, just post, just show up. And so I think it's easy to be open-handed, but I think if for some reason if you make good content, I was just looking at content creator yesterday, Beast. His stuff is so good. He's in Portland. He's actually a believer, making really amazing content in Portland, not getting traction.
Wow.
But I'm scrolling through his stuff and I'm like, oh, this is really good. And as soon as he blows, he's going to blow. And I think that's the thing we have to keep in mind sometimes is, like, you might not be getting seen right now, but like, you're building a library. And as soon as like that one video goes, at least you have stuff people can go back and like keep like scrolling through. But if you take it down, you archive, you have the one video that goes viral and then they're like, wait, there's no depth here. Like, and like sometimes you have to like dig and like you need roots and we forget the roots. And so for me on social media, I'm just posting. I am like, when I do start getting to the quality of content I love, and I'm not going to archive the other stuff because people, if they scroll through, they're going to be like, oh, she's a person, she's funny, she's blah, blah, like, and I'm realizing, oh, it's just necessary.
That's awesome. So, okay, I love that because I believe the same thing. You know, there's like so many things. Sure, there are like certain things that you're probably going to archive, right? So there was this one account that I saw that, you know, they started going into the real estate media space. And so I'm like, okay, cool. Then I scroll far down enough, you know, and then they had like 10 workout videos. And I was
archive that.
You should probably archive that, you know. It's like, just move on, you know, from that.
God is not
Put it
the
in your
author of
highlights,
confusion.
you know, or whatever. But I just feel like it's so true what you said that, you know, like let's say you have a video that pops off, right? And what you want people to do is like to actually click on your profile and then they start seeing, oh, dang, like my approach with this is like, I want my potential clients that are seeing my page for the first time to have an endless scroll and feel like they can't get to the bottom of when I started, you know, because I feel like then they'll feel like in their mind, oh, they've been doing this for years or for a long time. And there's this statistic, you know, we'll have to look it up to get the exact numbers, but there's like a certain amount of posts that you have to get through to like actually start seeing the success, you know, and it's like, you have to put in the work, you have to put in the repetitions. And then that's what's going to get people to click on the link, right? On, you know, to get a quote, to DM you. And so I truly believe that. And I feel like a lot of people miss that, you know, they get so caught up on that one video that will go off and then they put all of their eggs in that basket. And it's like, well, you don't have the sustenance, you don't have the backing or the proof, you know, the proof is in the pudding is what they say. And so it's just like, they're just missing that. And so I love that. And one of the things I was thinking about too is like, you know, you have your team at Skill House. And so what are some things that you guys are thinking about as you're going into 2025? Like when it comes to content, how are you building this culture of, you know, content creation? Because I feel like you are probably the strongest in regards to social media because you've been doing it for a long time. And so how do you build that with this team, you know, maybe that is newer on that and just kind of has to break out of that shell? What's your approach?
So one of the words we're like really honing in on this year's innovation. Like we really are like, okay, how do we innovate? And so I'm like looking at what is our team strong at? So Jeannie is a beast designer.
That's awesome.
And so it's been like, yo, design. And so she's doing this series that hasn't started, but we will start it. We're a poster a day. So she's already designing the posters and is just going to start. We're just going to dump like stuff on the internet. We've started doing some like podcast stuff. We don't have anybody editing it, but then I'm at the point where I'm like, no, like we have what we call a creative cohort, and so they're like our interns.
Oh, good.
And so there's one of them that I was like, we're actually meeting today, where I just was like, you're actually assigned to edit this stuff.
That's awesome.
You know what? Like, cause we're just starting, and I think some people want to blow right when they like start, and I realize, no, let's just start. Yeah. And like you said, nobody's even going to remember this moment. Like, I think that was the thing working at ministries, that what it did teach me is social media content can die so fast.
So fast.
Like, as soon as you post it, it's dead. Like, forget about it and move on because you got another 10, 20 posts to go. Like, and I think that was one of the things is I learned to like batch content create. I think it's necessary. And so it's one of the things we're teaching is like the buckets. Like, just know your buckets. Like what are the things that you do all the time? And then let's like start pulling from there. So we're honing in. That's like cool. we still got work to do. But my what I believe and what I think I can stand 10 toes down on is by the end of this year, it will be like, oh, we put in work. Yeah,
that's awesome. I love that. I feel like, you know, it's important to batch content, to record it. And then like, it's funny because like we've done that a couple of times, and then, you know, have a bank full of content. And then the next hurdle is like getting over that insecurity, and you just have to post it. Yeah. Cause it's like, there's so many thoughts that come in. You can think, oh, it's outdated, you know, even though it was shot like 2 weeks ago. And it's like all these things like, oh, I could do it better now. And it's like, no, just post it. Like you did it for a reason, and post it, get the feedback, and then just get better. And so I wanted to ask you, you know, what is like maybe an insecurity when you first started doing content that you faced that maybe you think others might be facing, and how did you overcome that?
An insecurity, I think you kind of touched on it, and I think it's something that even now is still something like it doesn't. This voice doesn't go away, but like you can squash it, and then it'll try. Anyway, we know like the thought of people won't take you seriously, because for me, I'm really funny. Like I'm learning that. I'm a very funny person. For a long time, I didn't want to show my personality on social. Because one, I felt like I was supposed to be doing like ministry type things. And so this is my personal social. And so I'd come on trying to be serious. And I remember one day my brother pulled me aside and he was like, that is not who you are. He's like, this is not the person that I love, or the people like, so what are you doing? And I'm like, this is me talking about the things of God. And I think it's because I love my parents. I had a conversation with my dad and he was like, you need to be more serious. Stop talking about all this stuff you're talking about. And I'm like, okay, like, how do I be the serious ministry person that people respect? And I realized I'll be everybody's big sis. like I'll be your big sis. I'll be your little sis, whatever you think I am to you. That's awesome. But like, you'll see me as family because you'll be in my business. But it's one of the things the Lord told me the other day. He was like, you create the social media content to share your life, but you don't live on social media. And I think that's one of the things. A lot of people like live on social media. And for me, it's more like this is an invitation to just share life with other people, to keep the social, like everybody's talking about AI and all the things happening with AI. And I'm like, AI can't actually be social. It doesn't like, it can like try and mimic humans, but it cannot actually have human interaction the way we can. And so if I can keep that at the forefront of my social, if that I can keep that at the forefront of my mind. So when things are like, they won't take you seriously, because that is like a big, like, because I'm 33, but like sometimes I feel like people see me as a child and I'm like, I'm not a child. I'm an adult.
I'm a grown woman.
And it's because I do stuff like this on social media. But I'm like, it's okay. Like if that's how you see me, it's fine. And then we'll have a conversation about God, and you might get wrecked, or we'll have a conversation about business, and maybe I say something wise. Like, who knows? And then maybe you'll see me differently. But and I think this goes back to even, I'm making a side note, like the way people meet you the first time is kind of what's in their mind. And so if you just like, if your job or your goal is to like innovate, like just get better, get 1% better the next day, get 1% better the next week. When people meet you for the first time, they'll see you as this and not like where you started. And I think sometimes we feel like where we started from. I started as a girl putting on, I like literally am seeing the video of myself putting on chapstick. I'm in my college dorm and I'm talking about Charlie Sheen because he was going crazy at the time. And I'm like, Charlie Sheen. And I started singing some stuff about Charlie Sheen. It's dumb, but but like
when you pull up that video,
no. But that was my intro to like being on social media because
Yeah.
Facebook was new and everything was new,
Yeah.
and it's like nobody remembers that me. Like I like we grow in life, we mature in life. Nobody remembers me when I was watching K-dramas and I cut my bangs really weird and I dyed my hair orange.
Yeah.
Like nobody knows that Bosa.
That's funny. Yeah.
I do, and sometimes I still feel like that
Yeah.
Bosa, but it's like nobody like that's not the person people have met. And so sometimes we keep that in our mind, but if we just innovate and if we just grow and just be human on social, it's the best way.
That's so good.
Yeah, that's the lie.
I love that. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people forget that right now is like when the least amount of people know who we are, right? And so I think about like people are probably not going to watch a video that I posted a year ago.
Yeah.
And maybe it was silly, maybe it was kind of dumb. You know, we did some videos when we first moved into the office where I was like doing like throwing knives, you know. It was so dumb. After I did the second one, I was like, I kind of felt a little like, I don't know if I should have posted that one, you know, like this is too much fun in the office right now, you know. And but I think it was just the insecurity. I'm like, no, just be real, be serious, be professional, you know, but have fun.
Yeah.
And so I just was thinking about it. I'm like, okay, people, just give myself feedback, but people will, you know, like they won't know, you know, maybe there's gonna be a new wave of people that come in a year from that time and they won't ever know what happened, you know. And so I just have to be myself, and just even with like the trust fall video that we were doing, just
it's
funny
so
stuff, you know. It's like it's just things that it's like it's who I am. Like I've even was talking to Malachi about funny video ideas, you know. It's like they're kind of dumb, but that's the kind of funny that I like, and I think just people connect with it with me, you know. And so
I think here's a thought that it helps me.
Yeah.
Even the best content creators make bad content. Even some of our favorite directors have directed some really horrible films.
Good, yeah.
And you're like, it wasn't a day on set. Y'all spent months. People were reading scripts, acting all, and y'all made that's garbage.
So good. Yeah.
And then you got up and got another movie and did better. You know what I mean? Like,
dang, that's good.
And sometimes we hold ourselves to this, like, have to be perfect. Every video has to be amazing. Every video has to be like this. And it's like, no, like sometimes it's like you're learning the art of it and just do it and like put it. And that's why I'm like, for me, and it sounds bad, but I'm just putting stuff out, not in a heart of not being excellent, but in the heart that sometimes excellence is a process, that there is a goal and there's something that I know that I desire to, like, there's a level of excellence that I desire to like put out. But right now what's in my hand with like stewarding a business and stewarding client work and all the things, I have 10 minutes or 15 minutes that I need to get content out. And like, I can wait until I have the 2 hour span to like edit something dope. Or like right now I have 15 minutes. And if I want to like get in the habit of posting, let me do it. I do want to get to the span. And this is like in my foresight for like the next few weeks to like block off 2 hours to really edit good pieces of content. Because I do think you need both. So I'm saying this, like I just put out, but that's, I don't think that's how you like build a brand. Like I think, like excellence really draws people. And so if you don't desire to ever be excellent, there's a problem. Hold on. So right now I'm just like starting. It's the ABCs, but I don't expect this to be the thing that draws clients to me because people want to partner with excellence. And so I see this more so as I'm revving the car back up, but I haven't gone anywhere. Like I haven't driven. And so like in the next few weeks, the goal is to drive and like to start moving traffic.
That's good. Yeah. I feel like a lot of people confuse excellence with this thing to be the best. But for me, when I approach it with like my client work, is like excellence for me is showing them that I care.
Yes.
You know, like that I care, that it's going to be the best piece of content, that it's going to portray them in the best light, you know? And so, I feel like a lot of people miss that.
Can I add to that?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, because you just got me excited. So I just took a trip to Japan. And Korea. But when I was in Japan, one of the things that wrecked me, and Korea, excellence. I walk into a restaurant, 2 tables, 2 tabletops. Whole restaurant.
Wow.
It was designed impeccably.
Yeah, impeccably.
It was designed well. Okay? I can speak English, I promise. But it was designed really well. 2 tables, 2 tabletops, so 4 people can sit in this restaurant.
Wow.
And like from the ceiling to like everything was amazing. Their branding was on point. And it was like every cafe, every restaurant we went into designed, and it wasn't for 100 people. It was some of these restaurants were really tiny, where it was like only 10 people can sit in here. But they're like, for those 10 to 15 that are sitting here, we're gonna do the best for them. Like, we really care for them. I remember we went to the sneaker store and they like took my shoes off, put them on for me, laced it. And it's like those little things.
Yeah.
I like, that's
Next
the part
level.
of customer service that like I want to get there. Like, it made me be like, oh, I want our customers and our people to experience this type of care, what you're talking about, because that's what excellence is.
That's what it is. Yeah, 100%. So as we kind of shift a little bit, I wanted to ask you this even before you came in. I was like, okay, I feel like Bosa will weigh in a lot on this. So one of the things that like we deal with in life is just life happens, right? Like there's certain things in life, whether, you know, sometimes we don't have control over certain things, right? And so, but what we do have control over is how we react, how our emotions react to it, and even our mindset behind it. And so I wanted to ask you, how did you overcome difficult times in your life, you know, and continue to build what God called you to build? And I'm reminded of what Jesus said, that in this life, we will face trials of many kind, but take courage, I have overcome the world, you know? And so what was your approach? Like, how did you, you know, navigate this season, which probably was a pretty long season, from what I understand. And so I just want to, you know, hear, and I feel like what you have to say will help others as well.
So this is like a, man, I was thinking about it. Actually, when I was driving, I didn't know we were going to talk about this necessarily. But I was just like, man, God, you've been so faithful. So March, I don't remember, March of whatever year we launched our business. And then May, I get diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer, growing at a 95% rate. Jeez. And I was like, huh?
Yeah.
But I thought we were about to step into the greatest time of our lives. Like, I thought we were about to. And so I had to pivot and kind of focus on health. And so I remember asking the Lord, like, what do I do with this? And he was like, honor cancer. And I was like, what does that mean? And really what he was saying was assign heaven's value to it. And he told me, put it under your feet. And so it was like a season of learning what it meant to like still steward what God spoke. So I never... And my team can tell you, there was not a time where I let go of like building and doing what God called us to do. I might have pivoted and shifted the tenacity. Like, I think it was like last month that I really was like, I've been 4 months cancer free.
That's amazing. Come on. That's awesome, Bosa. Let's go. That's so sick.
But man, coming in last month, I felt like, oh, I'm at 90%. Like, and so I'm still doing some preventative treatments and stuff, but I feel like after February, I'm going to be at 100. But this whole process, even when they told me like we had like done a mastectomy, and they told me it was spreading again and it's getting to your brain and your lungs. And I'm like, what? I felt this, like, don't let go of what God has asked you to steward. And I think sometimes, like, a lot of us, there's like things that come at us. And what I'm not saying is not to take a moment. One of the things the Lord was actually talking to me this morning, and he was like, hey, Bosa, you can move fast, but you don't have to hurry. Like, you don't have to be in a rush. And I think sometimes we think like, oh, like God asked us to steward it. So if I can't let go. It's like, no, like you can like pause and ask the Lord, what should I be doing in this moment? So I'm a Christian. I know you're a Christian. So that's why I'm saying ask the Lord. But if somebody's listening and they're not a believer, you can pause and actually you can still ask the Lord, like God like desires to speak to his children. But if for some reason right now you're not open to that, just pause. And just say like process. What should I actually be like holding and stewarding right now? So I had to do that with our business. Like, what parts should I actually be stewarding right now? What parts can I give away and empower others in? And I think looking back now, like, it's weird to say I'm thankful for the journey because I wasn't the greatest at empowering. I'm still like sometimes growing in empowerment. I'm like learning. My cohort, our interns are sometimes like, one of them was like, Bosa, you really shouldn't be editing anymore. Like, shouldn't we be helping you do that? I'm like, you're right. Let's do it.
I love that.
But I had to learn, like, what should I actually be holding on? What should I not? But I had to determine and set in my heart, like this, like make a decision, decide, like cut off every other option. I'm not letting go. So like, I might slow down. I might be holding less, but I'm not going to let go of the promise of God. Like, I'm not going to let go. And I think that sometimes when we go through adversity and hard times, the temptation is to let go. Like, Jesus even came to Satan even came to tempt Jesus. And like the whole part was about letting go of the promise. And so if we can keep our eyes on like, no, I'm not going to let go. I'm not going to let go of what God spoke, because it's really trust in him.
Yeah.
So I could have been like, well, God, you said, and I'm now walking, so I think this is not valid or whatever. But it's like, no, I'm going to trust in God. And that's one of the beautiful parts of like hearing God in business, because like you have this like this thing to hold on to no matter what may be happening. Like this, like, so we prayed into this whole thing. So coming when 2 months in, so we're still fresh, you know, when you first start a business, you're like,
it still feels fresh.
We're going to take over the world. And so May coming in, like all this stuff happening, and I still have this like this thing to hold on to. And it's also important for us, like we document it, like we voice record, video, whatever we need, and like have it all in a folder where we're like, in October God said this, in November God said this, and so that we like, because it was such a precious thing for me at that time, it helped me hold on to like, wait, God spoke this about 5 years from now. So therefore, when doctors are telling me I might not live the 5 years, because they're still telling me that now, I'm like, but God already spoke. So like, all I have to do is hold on. And so I think that's one of the biggest thing is, especially for Christian entrepreneurs, like hold on to the promises of God. If you haven't asked him, go ask him, write it down. If you like, we're the body of Christ for a reason. You can invite people in to have conversations, let people pray into it with you. If for some reason you're like, do I hear God? Do I invite others in? Help, let them pray about it. And then you have a stake in the ground, something to be like, oh, I will not be moved. And so that's helped me in my business, my personal life, like knowing what God said, and like, I like to say standing 10 toes down, being like, no, I've decided in my heart, I'm not letting go of this. Yeah,
that's so good. One of the recent quotes that I heard recently was that tough times don't last, but tough people do. And it's like, it's this crazy, you know, perspective that, there's like, and just like I quoted that scripture, you know, that these trials are going to come, but there's still like the other side of it. It's like, but take courage, you know, like there is a courage that needs to be grasped and taken with, you know? And so, cause even like when, you know, my family and I, when we went through our loss of our firstborn, like it was crazy. It was a wild time. It was like very similar to what you're saying. Like it wasn't a launch of a new business, but we had just got it implanted as pastors and this new role as a young 20-something-year-old, you know, and it was just, felt like just bomb after bomb after bomb, you know? And the reality was like, I felt like once we navigated that season, we were present. I think a lot of people miss that, right? It's like they want to fast forward the hard times, but there's there's so much that you can gain from being present. And that was our prayer, my wife and I. We were just like, help us to be present. Help us to not want to rush past this, you know, difficult time, the grief, whatever it is. And I feel like just even looking back, it was an opportunity. My response was an opportunity to worship God. You know, how is it that I would worship God? Like, what's my reaction? And so it's just wild to me how just a lot of people, you know, and I get it, they've never navigated this. So I wanted to ask you, what are our maybe 2 or 3 practical things, you know, and I say practical, but it could be spiritual things, like 3 steps that you would give someone that's maybe going through a tough time. They're trying to launch their business. They're trying to go through, you know, stepping out, creating content, but they're dealing with stuff in life. And like, what would you tell them?
Yeah. I would say the first is like, you have to let go of the weight. Like, sometimes we carry baggage that because we think we're the ones who need to do it, need to fix it, and sometimes you just need to pause. So I'd say that's first. Pause and breathe, like, and invite the Lord in. Again, if you don't know the Lord, like, I don't know how you process, but like, take time to pause and say like, I need help, like, and just like really like, even sometimes just saying the words is like powerful. And so like, I need help. That has been my biggest like cry. So pause, breathe. The second step, if you're a believer, pray. Like, ask the Lord for like, what should I be doing? And then hear God and obey. And it's funny, we've been doing this study on hear God, obey, because like it actually in the Bible was like one motion. It wasn't separated. It wasn't hear God, obey. In our generation, sometimes it's like separate, where it's like, I heard God and like I started getting frustrated with there's like a group of young people, and they'd always like tell me all the things God was saying. I was like, man, you always tell me what you hear from God, and I never see you doing anything He's telling you to do. Dang. Like the obey is just never there. Yeah. And so I'm like reading through scripture and I'm looking at the disciples. I'm like, wait, Paul was literally writing this from prison. Like, it wasn't like, because I think sometimes we have this image of the disciples, like they were like, we're the disciples, we first, so we don't have any problem. Like, they were like going through it. Yeah. And they like held on. And so for me, it was like, they were doing stuff, like literally, like picture Stephen kneeling there, hands behind his back, getting stoned, looking up to the Father, and just like this is for your glory, basically. I'm paraphrasing. I forgot the words he said, but like looking up and just like worshiping the Father. Yeah, like these are the people who went before us, and that our perspective has to shift to be more so of like I might be going through a hard time, but Jesus died for me, and because He died for me. If God is asking something of me, I trust that He is the one who holds my life in His hands. And I trust what He's asking of me is good. And I trust that because it's good, like it all is going to work out. Like, and that includes for me. Like I'm involved in God's plan for the earth. I might not like the discomfort. I might not like what I'm walking through. I might not like the way this is going about. But if God is speaking, I'm just going to trust Him. Yeah. Because that's what obedience really is, like trusting Him. Yeah, it's trust. And that's why I say like hold on to the promise, because it's not so much about looking at the thing as God, but it's like looking at the one who gave the promise and trusting that what He's spoken is true, because He's a good Father. Yes. Like He really does care for us. It's awesome. So in the moment, it might feel like, ugh, but as you go through the process, like you said, like there are moments that there was a nearness that I had never experienced before I walked through this. Yeah. There was like this closeness, this I had never experienced that before. And I think I'm like thankful for it. Like now I say, like sometimes I look back and I'm like, wow, like God was there with me. He's still here with me now, but I met Him as a different person in that 100%. Season. And so whatever you're walking through, you get to meet God as another part of Him, another facet of God. Like there's more of God than we will ever realize. There's more of Him. Like that's why the angels can keep going, holy, 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 like because there's like another whoa, holy, holy, like there's more. So what we've experienced on earth, like that's why I love conversation, being human, like talking to people, because you hear people's stories and you're like, I've never experienced God like that. Yeah. But you have, and it's so real, and it shows me who He is. And so that would be my 3. If you're walking through a hard time, pause, breathe, pray, hear God and obey. Because in the prayer, that's where you get your confidence. And it's okay to tell God everything. I'm beat up. I feel like I can't make it. I feel destroyed. Father, why did you let the enemy do this? Like what? Like all of, like say all the hard things that you feel like He doesn't want to say, or will He be mad if I say it? But say all of those things, because you got to get it out. Like you got to get it out, or it's just going to like get gross in you. Get it out. And God might not answer you. Yeah, I love but that. He will be with you. Yeah. Like He walks with us through the valley of the shadow of death. He really is that good. Yeah. No, I love that. Thank you for being so authentic, so open. And I feel like a lot of people will gain from that. And so thanks for sharing, being vulnerable. And with that, like I love practical steps, like kind of, because it's just kind of like, I like to go off of, a list and be like, okay, I can do these things. Yeah. Instead of kind of just like figuring out, wandering and then kind of guessing, the right way. Yeah. So, okay, with that, I want to shift a little bit. What are the 2 or 3 things that, somebody that wants to jump, they're on the fence and they want to get into this content creation. Like, they want to start posting, and like, what would you tell them? Like, here are 2 or 3 things, like, this is how you start. Just, and give us your thoughts on that, your approach. I'd say the big thing is just start. So sometimes people say like, know what your niche is and all the things. I'm like, sometimes you might not know.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you might just not know your niche. Your business might not be established. You have no idea. You just feel like drawn to this content creation thing. So just start posting or at least start recording. Like let's start there. Step one, start recording.
Start recording. That's
like
good. Yeah.
everybody has a phone.
Perfect.
Everybody has something they can record on.
Yeah.
Like if you don't have a phone, you know somebody that has a phone. Just if you're a child, you better really ask your parents. But like get access to a phone and just start recording.
Yeah, I agree.
And then watching yourself, because then you see like, oh, for me, I say like a lot.
Yes.
I say like so much. I hate it. I'm like, how do I cut this? Like, so you're trying to edit like and cut all the likes out, but like
it's too many.
It sounds bad. Yeah, and I just said like, and I keep so like. I'm trying to like find a way to like change my verbiage, but that's gonna happen over time because it's ingrained. But like when you record and you watch yourself back, you're like, oh, I do this so much, I need to cut it out.
Yeah.
So recording first. Second, if you really feel like it's time for you to start posting or whatever, just start posting. Like, but I would say post with a roadmap in mind. Like, know where you're going. So one of the problems sometimes is people don't see social media as a journey. Like they see it as a destination. You're never really gonna arrive in social media. So just start, but know where you're headed. If you don't know what type of content or what niche you're in, at least know the frequency in which you want to post, at least know the quality of where you're trying to get to, because then it gives you, so like for me, I said I am posting, so I'm getting back into the habit of posting, but I have a level of quality that I have in mind of where I'm trying to go. Like this is what I want to get to. I also know like more as I'm posting, I'm getting more specifics. And so that's one of the reasons I'm like, you might not know, but just start posting. And as you start posting, you're having a conversation with your audience, and then you're realizing, oh, nobody likes this. And it's okay, I'm open-handed with it. So like, what are the things, like for example, I posted just randomly, I'm going to find a way to start putting this in my content. I just posted randomly, I went to Chick-fil-A because I always had this thought of like, it'd be cool to go to Chick-fil-A and do a series in Chick-fil-A's parking lot on a Sunday because they're closed. So one day I was like driving and I just felt like let me go to Chick-fil-A and just record this fit check. So I went to Chick-fil-A, I did this, and I was like, ma'am, sir. And for some reason, that stuck. People were in the comments like, ma'am, sir, ma'am, sir. People would see me in like, ma'am, sir.
Wow.
And then I think I did like another video. So I did like 3, and I intentionally just said, ma'am, sir, just in these 3 videos. And literally every video, people were like, ma'am, sir, like commenting about it. And I realized, oh, this ma'am, sir, this hit. And so now I'm going to find a way to integrate it in my content. Cool. So it's a part of my plan as to like, oh, okay, I'm going to add this. But when you start like just posting and you're having a conversation, people will tell you what they like. And you're like, okay, why do they like the ma'am, sir? I have no idea. But it's sticking. So I'm gonna find a way in my future content as I start getting to better quality to add that in more.
That's good. That's cool. I love that. Okay, so this year, obviously, like in the last couple of years, AI has been kind of going wild, right? It's been popping off. So, and I think it's one of those things where you kind of almost have to figure out how to implement it, right? So obviously you can't let it be the main thing, the main source of ideas and everything, because then it just becomes a crutch and all that stuff. So how are you, implementing AI within Skill House, even your personal stuff? Like, what are your thoughts? How would you approach it this year?
Yeah, I think AI is an amazing tool. It's something that we're like trying to learn more. But what you said is right. Like for me as a Christian, I was like, this is not Holy Spirit. So I need to chill. I'm asking too many questions.
Like, how do I start?
But it's a tool. And so what I've learned is to change it. It can't be the starting point of my creative process, but it is a part of my creative process. Cool. So I've shifted like where it falls in alignment. I'll give you an example. I felt to write a few books at the end of the year. And it was based on a prophetic word I had gotten from my campus pastors, Pastor Will and DeHaviland Ford.
Shout out.
Morse Culture East Fort Worth. Sorry, can I do that?
No, of course.
And so it was a part of a prophetic word. They said something about writing a certain number of books. And I was like, Lord, this is not possible in a month. This is crazy. So she told me in August, but the Lord was like, I'll tell you when it's time. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going about life. And then December comes and he's like, it's time. And I'm like, oh, okay. And so I'm like, how do I? So I wrote out the content and the meat, and then I put it in AI. I said, grammar check, how do people receive this? What does this look like? And so it's giving me feedback, and I'm like tweaking based on that.
That's cool.
I'm like, okay, say this. And then I was like, say this like a New York Times bestseller. And so it's tweaking stuff based on that. And I'm like, okay. But then I'm like fine tuning it because I'm like, that don't sound like me. That's crazy. Like, so like you have to learn how to work with AI, but there's so many benefits. So for us, we are using it to help write client emails. We're going to start using it to script some of our social media, and AI. Because here's my thing. I don't feel bad for using AI for social because social media dies so quickly. Like it's just so again, you need the human part. So if you can tell the content where people are just it's just AI generated and you put no thought, and this is where we talk about excellence is in the care. Like, so if you just don't care and you're just trying to like get to the money, because you see that where people are like using all the AI and everything just to get to the money, but not to care for people. That like that's dangerous. And so I think that's why you need to make sure the structure changes where it's not the first thing where you're just trying to generate to like pump out as much as possible, but it's like I've taken time to really care for people. I have this structure, these things in mind. And so I want to put this out. So Runway is one that we're really looking at using. ChatGPT is one. I'm just doing these off the top of my head. Otter AI is it Otter? No. I'm blanking, but there's a few. And one of my friends, she works at Microsoft, so I hit her up. I'm like, yo, give me a list of AI. That's cool. So she gave me a list and like a voice recording on all of them. And she's like, but tell me more specifically. So there's like AI for marketing, there's AI for finance, there's AI for, and so we're trying to lock in, but not from a place of we're just trying to get to the bag or we're just trying to like make our, like we do want our systems more refined and simplified.
It's a tool, right?
As a tool to care for people. That's cool. If we have more time, we can care for more people. We can produce more content that cares for people. We can actually show up for people more if we have more time. That's cool. So that's what we want to use AI for.
I love that. As we kind of wrap up, Bosa, what are your predictions as far as like content? How is social media, and maybe you can't give like a 2025 prediction, but what do you think like in the next couple of months? Like what do you feel the next trends are and just kind of how is it shifting? Because I feel like it's shifting, right?
It's shifting. It's like, I think, so one of my friends works for TikTok. Cool. And with this whole like TikTok is supposed to be being sold to an American company, all the things, like I think in that alone, people have started to shift towards Instagram. Instagram, yeah. Thank you. Yep. They've been shifting towards Instagram.
They are changing all the names.
What are the names again? They've been shifting towards Instagram, where it's becoming kind of polluted in a sense, but in the best way, because it's making people actually look at their communities. I think it's the rise of the micro influencer. I'm seeing on YouTube where like people with 20 followers are like showing up in my feed. I'm like, okay. So for me, I'm like, if they can show up, like I can show up. So I need to be on YouTube because like this is the time, and this is where excellence is necessary. This is how you stand out, especially as a micro influencer, as a smaller influencer. Just be excellent in what you're stewarding. But I think this is a time, it's like the wild, wild west. What's his name? Zuckerberg. I actually started following him because I'm like, whatever content he's putting out, this is content we know it's going to work. And so like, he's just being more social again, more personal. Like he's adding obviously his business stuff. Like for some reason he did a remix with T-Pain and named it Z-Pain. Like this is what Mark Zuckerberg is doing, but he's showing people he's fun. And he was like, I've always been this guy. And I'm like, you have not shown us like, this on social media. But why is he doing it? Because he understands what's behind the algorithm. Cool. So if that's what he's putting out, that's what we should be putting out. But it also shows like the more human approach to social media. And he did an announcement recently where he was like, we're taking off limitations. We're taking off censorship. Because apparently the last few years they've been censoring people, like crushing people's hopes and dreams. But they're removing all censorship. So it's about to be the wild, wild west 2025. And I think that those who come with excellence, those who come with a heart to serve, they'll be the ones standing at the end of 2025.
That's awesome. I love that. Where can people find you, Bosa, your company, yourself?
Yeah, so for myself, it's Bosa on Instagram or itsbosa.com on the web. Awesome. And then Skillhouse Studio on Instagram, skillhousestudio.com on the internet.
Let's go. Awesome. Well, Bosa, thank you so much for being part. Seriously, you're incredible. And